Venezuela is a country that has been plagued by political corruption since its independence from Spain in 1811. With several different factions vying for power post-independence, Venezuela found itself in the middle of back-to-back civil wars which continued on until 1823. Although this continued unrest was detrimental and did lead to some corruption of political power, it was not until oil really became a valuable commodity that Venezuela experienced the levels of corruptions that run rife throughout the country and government today. In the early 20th century, oil was discovered under a lake in northern Venezuela. Lake Maracaibo, which is a bay that connects directly to the Gulf of Venezuela, was the first easily accessible oil found in South America. Geographically, it was also one of the first spots that allowed for easy international shipping due to its direct connection to the ocean. During World War I, a high-ranking military general named Juan Vicente Gomez seized control of the reserves and made an incredible amount of personal wealth. This first exploitation of oil for personal gain set the stage for the rest of the century, where a few power-holding individuals who ran the nation would go on to exploit the country for their own personal benefit. Corruption was not exclusive to just the economic sector in Venezuela. In 1993, President Carlos Andrés Pérez was impeached on corruption charges. He had supposedly embezzled several $1,000,000 from a presidential discretionary fund and transferred it into his personal bank accounts for later use. Although high levels of corruption like this are the most visible and disturbing to hear about, corruption exists on every tier of the Venezuelan government, right down to the lowest bureaucratic workers. One thing that is often cited as an example when the degree of corruption is brought up is the prevalence of bribing of government officials. In order to obtain a fake ID, clear a parking ticket, or get out of jail for a minor criminal offense, all one has to do is pay the correct government official directly. The issue of fake IDs is itself a major problem, because they are actual real IDs simply with fake information printed on them, and are indistinguishable from really real IDs. The other issue is that the amount of corruption concentrates a great deal of power into the hands of a very select group of people, and makes demand for government jobs very high, but turnover of employees very low. Currently, Venezuela ranks 160 out of 177 on Transparency International's annual corruption index. On the chart shown here, the darker red countries indicate a higher level of corruption. This score puts Venezuela on the same level of corruption as countries like North Korea, Somalia, South Sudan, and Afghanistan. Corruption has also caused a boom in drug trafficking through Venezuela, as is true with most highly corrupt nations. Thousands of kilos of cocaine and other narcotics are moved across the border from Colombia for international distribution every year. The most striking case of governmental-level corruption occurred in late 2013 going into 2014 after the presidential election of Nicolás Maduro. Maduro is often referred to as Chávez's chosen successor, and therefore his victory after Chávez's death sparked widespread controversy in 2013. Allegations of ballot burning, fraudulent balloting, and a slew of other corrupt election techniques caused public uproar, which resulted in widespread protests beginning in 2014. These protests were also the result of the continued corruption that leaves a select few with all the power and resources while leaving the masses without necessities such as groceries.